In game, I didn't even realize that I knocked two people down. We come back to watch film, and I was looking at it. I was like, "Whoa!" I didn't even know there was two dudes there.
Welcome to another episode of Preferred Walk On. I'm your host, Max Chadwick. We've got another interview for you guys today. If you haven't already, check out this series of interviews that I've done so far with some of the biggest superstars, both as players in college football and some of the biggest media personalities in college football as well. Here's another player, though, and it's Kansas State guard Cooper Beebe, who I consider to be the best interior offensive lineman in college football heading into next season. He was a second-team All-American for the Wildcats this past year at left guard. He was first-team All-Big 12 the year before at left tackle. He was All-Big 12 honorable mention at right tackle. This guy plays everywhere for Kansas State's offensive line. And since 2021, so over the last two seasons, he has a 94 pass blocking grade, which is first among all offensive linemen in the country. And he hasn't allowed a sack on nearly 800 pass blocking snaps in that span. And he went number 26 overall in my way too early 2024 NFL mock draft. As always, check out the feature article I did in Cooper Beebe over at pff.com, and a major thank you to the executive producer of the show, also the head of creative content and communications at PFF, Dave Sofaro. Sets up every single one of these interviews, and as you've seen, we're getting some major superstars in college football and many more still to come as well. But without further ado, here he is, Kansas State guard Cooper Beebe. First question I want to ask you. So your dad, obviously, he played at Pittsburgh State. Your older brother was a tight end at Minnesota. Did you kind of always know that you're going to be a football player because obviously you've been growing up with the game your entire life?
Yeah. Like you said, it definitely runs in the family. It was never something that was ever pushed on us. But our parents obviously got us into it when we were young, and all of us took a liking to it. And then, all of us having four brothers or three brothers, we're very competitive. So anytime, sports were related, we were always trying to beat each other. And, it was always something that was around when we grew up, watching, playing, going to watch my brothers play. It was just always something our family did. And it's, something that we bonded around.
Yeah, 1000%. And so you coming out of high school, I mean, you were not listed as, one of the best recruits in the class. You were like outside of the top 1,300 recruits in that 2019 class. Did you kind of feel like you were disrespected looking at the recruiting process back now?
For me, I don't really look at like ratings and stuff. It doesn't really bother me to, what I was. I really, first wanted to just prove to myself when I got there, that, I could play big time college football, and then eventually, prove to the world that, I was a player. I knew, I'm a competitive guy. I was going to go there, give it my all. So, going in, it didn't really matter what my rating was. I was going to show people what I was about, and, here we are now. So.
Yeah, you definitely showed everyone, I would say now, man. But you were listed as a defensive tackle coming out of high school. When did you know, though, that Kansas State wanted you as like an offensive lineman?
So it's funny you say that. So funny story. I was going in the whole time thinking, okay, I'm playing defensive tackle. Get there the first day, and I'm with my dad, and we go down to the locker room, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go check out my locker. And originally they were gonna have me be 98 to play defense tackle, and I see 50 on the nameplate, and I was like, I look at my dad and I go, I think I'm playing offensive line, and immediately the recruiting sped talks to me and was like, our recruiting guy, and he was like, hey, Coach Riley wants to meet you, our offensive line coach, and Coach Kleiman. And instantly they're like, yeah, we think, we had a couple people down on the offensive line. We think you should play offensive line. I was like, yeah, I figured it would come at some point. I thought I'd have maybe a year to enjoy playing defensive tackle, but it's worked out for me. So, I can't complain. I knew it was going to happen at some point.
For sure, it just worked out, man. But were you kind of like pissed off a little bit when you're like, I thought I was gonna be a defensive lineman? Offensive linemen don't get nearly as much love as Aaron Donald or something like that. You're like, I thought I was gonna be a defensive tackle. Now you're kind of telling me when I get here that I'm playing O-line.
Yeah. yeah, so I came in, I was like, I always liked playing defense, just like you said. They kind of get, all the publicity, make the big plays and stuff
Right.
like that. And then I went to offense line. I was like, dang, nobody's really gonna know who I am. I'm just gonna be playing offensive line. But no, it was a good change. I'm glad they turned me into an offensive line, which, I think I'm more natural at anyways. So it
Uh,
worked.
I love that, man. So coming out of high school, you see basically three bigger offers in Kansas, Minnesota, and obviously Kansas State. What made you decide on the Wildcats over the Jayhawks and your brother's alma mater in Minnesota too?
One of the things for me is I really wanted to stay close to home. I'm from Kansas City and I always wanted to stay close, just so my family and stuff can always come to the games because I knew like how much of a hassle it was, for them to get everybody up to go see my brother play in Minnesota. Flights and stuff ain't cheap. It takes a lot to travel there. I was like, you know what, I wanted to stay close. And at the time, funny enough, I was, considering KU and K State, and I went and visited KU at one. I can't remember when, but actually, funny story. The one of their, I'm not going to name him, but one of the coaches there, I believe it was maybe under Les Miles' staff or before. Straight up told me, he was a good friend of my dad's, and told me, hey, like we're gonna get fired, don't come here. So that actually threw me off KU. And then, when I took a visit up to K State, it really felt like home. When we talk about family here, it's really truth. We don't just say that; it's a lifestyle here. And I felt right at home, and I knew that's where I wanted to be, and that's where I wanted to play and go to school. So yeah, I knew it was the right spot for me.
For sure, man. Obviously, this past season kind of proved it was the right spot. You guys brought home your first Big 12 championship in a decade. What do you think you remember the most from this past season?
I would just say honestly is just one of the things that I've just seen throughout my years really change at K State is just the culture. Dudes just from the first time I got there, dudes kind of were separated. They didn't really hang out with each other. Wide receivers over here, DBs over here, but just throughout the years, we just became so close together. I go hang out with DBs, wide linebackers. You can go hang out with anybody, go talk to anybody on the team. And, that's something I'm the most proud of, honestly. And I think that's something that's really led to our success is the bond we have with each other and just seeing, all the hard work and stuff pay off and, finally get that championship, it was a great feeling.
For sure, man. So watching your tape, it's always a fun game to play. Where's number 50 on the field? Because you line up everywhere for Kansas State on the offensive line. You started your second season at right tackle, third season at left tackle, this past season at left guard. Do you kind of pride yourself on being probably the most versatile offensive lineman in the country?
Yeah, I always tell Coach Riley, our offensive line coach, I'm like, wherever you need me to play, I'll play. Whatever the team, needs me to do, I'm gonna go get the job done. It's not ideal for me to play tackle, but I'm gonna go out there, get the job done, do whatever it takes for us to win. And you know, I've been also been working on center this offseason, so could get the whole spectrum going.
That would be unbelievable, man. All right. So, how difficult is it going from right tackle to left guard to now you said you're working at center sometimes too? How difficult is it switching through every position? And is there one position on the offensive line that you enjoy playing more than any others?
No, it's definitely difficult. I don't think people, yeah, until you do it, I don't think even just switching from right tackle to left tackle, just the change in sides is just a huge difference that I don't think people realize until you do it. You gotta learn how to pass set the other way. Getting that left-handed stance compared to right. It's just a complete change, and you got to kind of program your mind to switch over. And then when you throw in going to guard with that, it makes it even harder just because it's a different game, out there and tackle when you're past set, you got time and space you got to deal with when you play guard, the dudes are right on you. The dudes, inside are a lot bigger, a lot stronger than a lot of those faster defensive ends. So it's just a change of pace too. So yeah, there was definitely a learning curve. Going in, I remember I want to say it was fall camp maybe. and I was going against Eli Huggins, our nose, and he beat me in one of the reps. I was like, wow, they get on you a lot faster in here. So, no, I definitely had to, kind of feel out guard, kind of get used to it. But it's definitely a hard change, just moving from side to side, interior out, outerior. But for me, I think the best spot that really fits my build is on the inside. I think I'm a big dude. I think I have great feet. I love to run block. I like to be right in the action. So I think guard is definitely the position for me.
For sure, man. So you say it's a difficult change. Well, you haven't made it look like it throughout your entire career. I mean, the last 2 seasons, dude, you haven't allowed a sack on like 800 pass blocking snaps. And your pass blocking grade is the best among all offensive linemen in the country. How do you think you're able to dominate so much in pass protection, moving from right tackle to left guard, and you're still the best pass protector in college football?
I mean, I think it just comes down to, I ain't trying to get the quarterback hurt, and I think, yeah, one of the things I think really has helped me is just, my footwork. That's something, that I strive to work on, every off season. Just getting quicker, just even though, it wasn't my natural position, just to be able to move and recover. What I think was pretty key to my pass protection. And like I said, I wanted, I do whatever I could. It may not always look pretty, but I always make sure, I keep the quarterback clean. I do everything in my power to make that happen. And it's just kind of that mindset. I think that's really helped me out.
Yeah, for sure, man. You have that mindset of, hey, man, if Kansas State won't let me get sacks, I'm not gonna let you get any sacks either. I kind of love that, man. But yeah, so we mentioned your older brother before. I'm sure one of the reasons why you wanted to come back this year is that your younger brother, Camden, is coming into Kansas State now. How cool do you think it's going to be that you get to play with your little brother next year?
Yeah, it was super exciting. Like you said, that was the one of the reasons I came back. I've always tried, him playing the same position as me, even when he was in high school. I've been trying to give him all the knowledge that I've acquired over the years, and I want to just make sure that I put him on the right track. Because as an older brother, you always want your younger brother, to achieve more than you.
Mhm.
So if I can, put him on that right track early, and hopefully, he can take it all in and be steps ahead of where I was when I was a freshman.
I love that, man. So we mentioned before how you're coming back, but I ranked you as the number one interior offensive lineman in college football. Do you think you are the best interior offensive lineman in college football heading into next year?
Um, you know, it's hard to tell. I mean, there's a lot of good, great players out there. I kind of don't look at it like that. I kind of try to keep myself humble, just knowing that if I don't show up, if I don't put in the work, you can get beat, any day. So yeah, I don't know. It's a hard question to answer because I think I'm one of the best, but I just don't like to you know brag about stuff like that because I always try to keep myself humble. Because I gotta I don't when you think you're the best, you think you've made it, and that you work ethic and stuff kind of drops, and I don't want that to happen with me, so I kind of just keep myself humble, and just continue to work and let everything play out as it is.
I love that, man. You keep that mindset. You let guys like me call you the best. We'll agree to do that, man. Is there any NFL offensive lineman that you just love watching their game? I think a guy that comes to mind for you is a lofty comparison for sure, but Zach Martin, he could play tackle if they need him to. He's obviously one of the best guards in the game. Is that a guy that you like watching a lot? And who are some of the other NFL offensive linemen that maybe you compare yourself to, or maybe just guys that you love watching in period?
Yeah, absolutely. Another dude, that I love to watch, Quentin Nelson. He's a freak. Loves to hit people. He's a great run blocker, and it's somebody that I like to model, my game after, especially when I moved inside. Um, and some of the people I've watched too is just even K State's own like Dalton Reisner, Cody Whitehair, and people like that. Having been at K State, that's the film. We got their old film, when they played at K State. So that's stuff I study. Because they're right here at K State. We have all the film. But yeah, some of those guys are the dudes, that I kind of try to model my game after. Just for the fact, Dalton played tackle in college and moved to guard. I've done the same thing, so I know how he feels. So just be able to see how he's done it and kind of help model my game after that, is something that I look at.
For sure, man. So we mentioned before how one of the reasons you came back was your brother Camden coming in next year. Are there any other reasons though why you came back and not enter the 2023 NFL draft?
Yeah, so one of the other reasons, at K State we have what's called the K State Ring of Honor, and these are the top players that played at K State. The Jordy Nelsons, the Sproles, Colin Klein, and people like that. And that's where I want to see myself. I see it as that's something that if I'm fortunate enough to be on, that I'd have forever. And I think I've put myself in a great position to be in that name consideration. And I think just one more year might put me over the edge to get on that thing. And that's some you look at. We have in the indoor, we have all the Ring of Honor people up on the wall, and it's something that you look at every day. And I kind of look at it as why not me? I put myself in a great position. If I can have one more great year, I think I can put my name in that consideration.
Dude, I think you might have already been in there, but I think one more great year for sure will get you in there. But I actually came out with a way too early mock draft for next year, and I put you in the first round of that. And a lot of other people, not just me, are putting you in the first round of those kind of mock drafts. What does that mean to you? And do you already kind of getting excited when you think about the possibility of entering the NFL?
Yeah, it's exciting, and it's definitely nerve wracking. NFL has always been a dream of mine, and to know you're right there is super exciting, especially when entering college. When we had COVID and we got one more year, I was like, oh, let's go. Yeah, we got another year of college. But now it's like, I really have a shot at the NFL. I'm super excited for that. Everything that I've ever dreamed of, all my goals are right there in front of me, just to know, I got to keep grinding, and I'm right there to attain all of them. So it's super exciting, but it's also nerve wracking. That's a huge step. And no, but I'm excited for it. It's something I've always dreamed of, so I can't wait.
As a guy who's never come close to making the NFL, I'm sure it is pretty nerve wracking thinking about, oh my God, I got to block Aaron Donald in a year or time, So that must be pretty nerve wracking. Is there a block, man, that you go back to and say, wow, that was probably the coolest block I've ever made? For you, I would say the Tulane game. I don't know if you remember this one where you blew up two guys on one play, and I was like, what is this guy doing right now? Like, is that kind of like the block that you go to, or is there another one that you go back to and you're like, that if NFL GM asked me, hey, Cooper, show me your best block, that's the one I'm going to.
Yeah, I would probably pick that one because in game I didn't even realize that I knocked two people down. We come back watch film, and I was looking at it, I was like, whoa, I didn't even know there was two dudes there. But those blocks, when I can get out and pull, are some of my favorites, just because a big body guy get on those smaller DBs or the linebackers. It usually makes for an exciting block. So yeah, no, that was definitely probably one of my best blocks all season, and something I think that I would be one of my best for sure.
I love that, dude. Just a few more questions. What do you think sets you apart from other offensive linemen in college football?
Um, I would just say my emphasis on technique and footwork. So being a guy, I don't have especially at tackle, I'm not your traditional, 6'6", 6'7", long wingspan guy that can rely on a lot of their body to get the job done. So, I got to emphasize, technique, hand placement, and stuff like that. And I kind of think of myself as a technician, and for me, it's just focusing on that aspect. I think is what sets me apart from most people. A lot of them, like I said, they can get away with stuff that I can't. With having long arms. If I don't hit somebody in pass pro in the right position, they swap my hands, I'm done for. Whereas somebody that has the longer arms, they can recover easier just because they have such a long wingspans. So it's just stuff like that. Just focusing on, technique for me is just I put that a little bit more above probably a lot of people do, and I think that's what's helped me have success.
For sure, dude. So who do you think are the best offensive linemen that you faced in your career so far? Or defensive linemen, I should say, that you faced in your career so far?
Oh wow. Well, probably from my tackle days. I think Nick Bonita from OU was
Hmm.
um, McDonald from Iowa State was really good. I mean, obviously you can tell him getting drafted here means he was pretty good. To be honest with you, this is probably like dumb to say, but probably the best one was on my own team. Just going against Felix every day is insane. Just you look at it now and he gets drafted in the first round, and it's like, wow, I've been kind of spoiled getting to go to one of the best defensive players in the country every day at practice. So, I'd honestly say Felix, but like I said, there's been other guys. Sweat from Texas is really good for an interior guy. And there's a lot of great players. I don't think people give the Big 12 enough credit for players at all, but there's a lot of high caliber players in our league for sure.
I completely agree with you there. Another guy who made the NFL this upcoming year is Deuce Vaughn, man, who you look at him, he's the smallest running back literally ever in the NFL. And yet he's still electric. What do you think he's going to bring to the NFL, and how do you think he's going to quell those size concerns a lot of people have for him?
Oh, I mean, no, he'll be fine. He showed in college that his height didn't matter. He was still making people look silly, and everybody's like, oh, it's a step up in the NFL. Yeah, he's going to do the same thing he did to college dudes that are playing in the NFL. He's a special player. He can do it all, and one of the things I praise him on is this past year he really took a focus on his blocking. And if you watch him, he's out there pancaking dudes. He's not afraid to put his face in, blitzing linebacker and stuff like that. So, he's a complete package. You think somebody that small would be scared of contact. No, he takes it on. And, I wish him all the best. I know he'll have success. He'll prove all those people wrong and talk about all of his height and stuff like that. So, it'll be exciting to watch.
So, what are your goals, both individually and for the Kansas State Wildcats this upcoming season?
So for the team, we're trying to be the first team in K-State history to ever repeat back-to-back Big 12 champions. That's never been done before. That's something we strive. We want to build on the success from last year. Even go further than that. It was tough playing against Alabama Sugar Bowl. That was a tough feeling. We thought the game was a lot closer than what it showed, and we like to be back. Get a second chance of that. So yeah, we're looking continue the success from last year and continue to build on that. And then individually, I'm really trying to. I don't remember how close I was, but I'm trying to this year. I want to try to earn consensus All American this year because I think that's one of the requirements for the K-State Ring of Honor. I think they don't really tell you, but that's something I think that sets people apart. So that's really my goal this year. I thought I should have got it last year, so that kind of frustrated me. But that's something I'm striving for this year for sure.
I agree with you there, man. All right, a couple more questions. I always love hearing this from offensive linemen. How does your mindset kind of change when you go from pass blocking to run blocking?
For me, it's pretty similar. What I try to tell a lot of the younger guys is, a lot of them are so focused on, technique and trying to be perfect. And well, that is something I strive to do. At the end of the day, you just got to play football. You got to get the job done. You got to figure out, if you need to clear a clear path, any way you can clear a path, do it. If you got to stop the dude from getting to the quarterback, any way you can, you're going to get it done. I think that's it's kind of helped me is I don't put undue pressure trying to be perfect on myself. Where even though I strive to be, I don't put that pressure on. I'm just going out there trying to get the job done any way I can. And if the coach wants to teach me up on my technique, I'll listen, I'll improve after. But at the in the moment, I'm just trying to get the job done any way I can. And I think that's kind of the mindset that's helped me have success.
So your head coach, Chris Kleiman, just got a big extension. And obviously, you might have had some hard feelings from him initially when he changed you to offensive line. But now that you've been with him for a while now, and he's obviously one of the best coaches Kansas State has had, what is your relationship like with Chris Kleiman, and how deserved do you think is that extension?
Oh, it's 100% deserved. I mean, if in my opinion, he should be getting more, but that's just me. He's worth every cent for sure. You know, the way he's changed, you know, the culture here is insane. And, you know, like you said, that relationship, I talk to him all the time. He always comes and asks me for different opinions on, you know, this or that, or, you know, what do you think of this guy? Even in the recruiting, he goes, hey, I'm going to give you these couple players. You know, tell me what you think about them, and just stuff like that. So he's really built a player led program, and I think that's something that's really helped us success. You know, he's kind of molded it to the point where, you know, the dudes in the locker room are the ones that are you know, when they see something bad happen, that are making the changes, so they don't rely on the coaches. You know, and it means a lot more. You know, when you're ripping people's butts. For when it comes from a player than a coach. And, you know, I think that's something, you know, he's really instilled in us. And, you know, he's completely changed the whole culture at K State. And like I said, he's worth every penny they're giving him for sure.
I love that, man. Well, Coop, I just gotta tell you, man, I've done a lot of these interviews. This is probably the most fun I've had in any single one of them, man. So when you're done, when you put the gold jacket on and you're an NFL Hall of Famer, you're in the Kansas State Ring of Honor. I think there's probably some room for you in the media world if you ever want to get in there, man. But this is an awesome interview, dude. I really appreciate the time, man.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.